Of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Frankie Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Frankie Rose.
Hey guys, welcome to the Think Tank. So, day 3 of Adam Montgomery, who is not in court because he's a coward, 3 days into his trial. So, this morning was Kayla Montgomery, and it was pretty horrific to listen to, I have to say. And oh, I got my 2 hats on still. That's funny. Yeah, Kayla was this morning, and that was just absolutely heartbreaking. Hard to hear, you know. So she's still on the stand for this afternoon, and there's going to be, I'm sure, more of the same. So big trigger warning for everybody. It's harsh. There's a little girl involved in this, so it's pretty bad. I spent my lunch. Hello, Jess, and hello, Mom. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Um, so yeah, I spend my time off lunch. They delivered our wrong sectional. We spent like 3 grand or something on a new sectional. And I thought maybe we got the wrong thing, but I had to wait for hubby to see it. So he's like, oh, hell yeah, that's not what we bought. So I'm calling the Brick. I think it's a Canadian place, and have asked them, can you pick up this and bring us the other one? But they only do that for 48 hours. So we might have paid all that money to get a couch or a sectional we didn't order. And I mean, it's brand new. It's like, what? So I'll see how that goes, because if they don't do this for us, I mean, it's brand new. There's nothing wrong with it. Still got some of the little things on it. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. See if I have to battle them but I'll never go back if they don't help us. If they don't give us what we bought. And not only did we buy this thing from them, but we waited an entire month for them to deliver it. So it's like, what the hell? If we end up with, I mean, it's okay if that is not what we wanted. Yep, very well. I agree with that. I agree with that. So yeah, that's what I was doing over lunch. And you guys, are you ready for another afternoon of listening to stories about Adam Montgomery? So I want to thank Miss Cyrus Black, who put out 5 memberships. I appreciate it, Mexi. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, Miss Cyrus Black. Absolutely. There we are, Mexi. Trigger warning, today's content is especially troubling and involves a child. Please proceed cautiously. If you choose to not to be present for today's live, please consider joining another time. Or feel free to join and just don't watch this particular part of the trial, right? Whatever works for you. So yeah, here's my link for YouTube and Twitter. Again, thank you, Mexi. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and smash that bell, because every day is another adventure, right? Thank you again. You're just on it, hey, friend? Consider supporting the channel with Buy Me a Coffee. It's funny, I look at other creators and they've got Cash App this and Venmo that and all of this stuff. Canada doesn't get all that stuff. We get Buy Me a Coffee or PayPal, right? You can also do PayPal. But I took mine down a while ago, my PayPal. Much appreciated. Love, love, love. Good to see you. How are things going on your end? Hope you're doing well. Hello, hello, hello. I've got had a habit ever since I was young because all we ever knew here was the Queen of England, right? Now we've got like Charles and William and Harry, and it's like one thing I want to know, where's Kate? Does anybody know where Kate is? I mean, oh my God. Prince Charles, I guess he's not Prince anymore. King Charles got the big C somewhere. Hey, Perry. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, despite the content. It's horrific, Perry. You know, there's some people are saying that she was involved with further, some people are saying she wasn't. But do you know how damaging that would be to a person? You know, why it wouldn't be damaging to, I don't know, to what's his face, Adam Montgomery. I think the guy's flipping psycho. I do. I think he's a freaking psycho. It's okay. That's that's minor. A few days ago, I did it within a couple of days. I was like blocking members and blocking people. No, like banishing them, banning them. I was just like, even Chopper, poor Chopper. I was like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. It was like, no. So at least I learned how to correct that. It was a learning lesson. I got them back. Total boo-boo. Mm, oh my goodness. Oh my God. Yeah. Like, oh, bye. Did you mean to do this to Chopper? No. Did I do that? Shauna will put people accidentally in timeout, and I'm accidentally banishing them. Oh my goodness. So let's hope I get the proper freaking couch. I want it. There we go, guys.
Ready? Okay.
It's a big disaster in my life. I can deal with it. Oh, look at that. The defense is missing something. Oh, yeah, it's their client. Right. Yeah. Here it comes. She looks so different. She does look healthy, though. Got her hair in a ponytail. This part of the trial was rough. I just couldn't believe the evil I was hearing. Gives me no hope for humanity. I mean, right, loves? Like, oh my God, it's harsh. It's absolutely harsh. And you know, her emotions seem very real. So I don't know. It is. Yeah, it is, friends.
All right, is everyone ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, such a laid back courtroom compared to the one we were just watching. Equally as horrible. That was Ethan Crumbly's mom, Jennifer Crumbly, that was on trial for MS, I guess, Man S. And she was convicted on all four. But they were warring between each other. Like, it was like, oh, crap. Keep in mind, has a MAT program in jail, still gets methadone treatments in jail. Are you kidding me? Okay. Now, I've heard, like, as far as that stuff goes, that it is addicting as what it's replacing. Is that
You may be
true?
seated.
Do we know if it is addictive, that stuff,
Montgomery, I
as
remind you that you
the
remain under
H
oath.
that
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a lot of questions, but I do want to go back to some of the stuff that you said at the end and make sure I understand. I think you said that you were never alone with Harmony once you were evicted.
Right.
And I think you said pretty much the whole family unit stayed in the car.
Yes.
And that was from the time that you were evicted.
Yes.
And I think you also said something about from the time that you were evicted, every time you were in public, Harmony had to be under a cover.
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about an accident that was on November 29,
Yes.
and that's the day after Thanksgiving,
Yes.
a couple of days after you got evicted.
Yes.
And after that, on the same day of that accident, you actually went with the family to your mother's house.
Yes.
And so you, Harmony, Declan, and Seamus are there with your mother and her boyfriend and Adam.
Yes.
You were not in the car at that time.
No, we were inside the apartment.
And Harmony was not under a blanket.
No.
And on December, what is it? Second, you and Adam got in another bit of a fender bender, right?
Yes.
And that was out near Market Street, right?
Yes.
And the kids were not in the car that time, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that they were not in the car?
I don't remember if they were in the car or not.
Okay. So do you remember talking to the police about that traffic accident
Yes.
and telling them that you thought, where'd it go? That Harmony was being babysat by Tabitha Scott
Yes.
because Harmony and Declan and Seamus were not in the car that accident, right?
From when I was being told, asking to remember that.
I beg your pardon?
I was being asked that question before,
Uh-huh.
and I said maybe they were being babysat by Tabitha because I didn't remember if they were in the car or not.
Okay. You couldn't remember who might be babysitting them, either your mother or Tabitha, right?
Right.
So,
I don't remember not having them in the car.
okay. If I showed you a copy of the police report on that accident, would that help refresh your recollection of whether or not the kids were in the car?
Yes.
Show you a copy of a report. It's 4 pages, and you can read anything you want to refresh your recollection, but I would start perhaps there that talks about the gist of the accident.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection about whether the kids were in the car?
No.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you about that conversation with the police. About, you recall the accident,
Yes.
and you recalled that it was near Market Street.
Yes.
And you recalled that accident when you were talking to the police, correct?
Yes.
And we'll go back a little bit. You had a conversation with the police June 3rd. You recall that?
Of what year?
I'm sorry, 2022.
Yes.
And during that conversation, the police asked you about that accident, right?
Yes.
And when they asked you about the accident, they suggested that with it being at Market Street in the morning, you had probably just gone to the clinic, right?
Yes.
And they asked you where the kids were, right?
Yes.
And you said, I think Tabby was watching them. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't remember if it was her or my mom, but I don't know because I wasn't really at my mom's house yet because we went on the 11th.
Yes.
Okay. So when they asked where the kids were, you thought that they were being babysat by Tabitha, perhaps your mother.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to start with actually probably this investigation. And you were contacted by police. Sorry. A little mixed up, but you were contacted by police in December of 2021, right?
Yes.
But there had actually been information in the media about looking for Harmony Montgomery, right?
Yes.
And you had actually seen things in the newspaper about Crystal Sorey wanting to find her daughter.
Yes.
And then when the police came to you, they wanted to talk to Adam about his daughter, right?
Yes.
And at that time, you and Adam were separated, right?
Yes.
You were living in the shelter.
Yes.
This was your second time at the Fit shelter, right?
Yes.
And Adam was in Maine, right?
Yeah.
And when they talked to you, you told them that as far as you knew, Adam had taken Harmony to his mother's, right?
Her mother's, yes.
I'm sorry. Thank you. And you said that you thought Adam was in Maine,
Yes.
but you didn't give them a way to get in touch with him.
Right.
But you got in touch with him.
Yes.
And you said for him to come back to Manchester.
Yes.
You said that he needed to deal with this too.
Yes.
And you said that you were not dealing with it by yourself.
Yes.
And you said, this is not my fault.
Yes.
And Adam came when you contacted him.
Yes.
And he came to Manchester.
Yes.
But he came to Manchester with a woman,
Yes.
Kelsey Small.
Yes.
And you two had been separated since March of 2021.
Yes.
Actually, St. Patrick's Day, wasn't it?
Yes, this when I left.
You left and you called the police.
Yes.
And Adam got arrested, right?
Yes.
And he was in jail for a while, right?
30 days, yes.
And you said he was going crazy, right?
Yes.
That he started going crazy, accusing you of all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And he actually struck you.
Yes.
And you called the police.
Yes.
And you stayed with your mom for a little bit after that.
Yes.
And then you were back at the shelter.
Yes.
But you did have a place and the shelter was fine with you being there.
I didn't have a place.
You had a place at the shelter.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. And you contacted Adam.
Yes.
You contacted him quite a bit while he was gone, right?
Yes.
Because he was in jail for a bit and then he went to Farnham Center, right?
Yes, I gave him a ride. So our transportation drove him to the farm center.
And then he went to a sober house.
Yes.
And while at the sober house, you two communicated.
Yes.
But you thought he might be fooling around on you then.
Yes.
And you get mad at him.
Yes.
And you'd tell him he couldn't see the kids.
I don't remember that.
So sometimes you wouldn't let him see the kids, and sometimes you would.
I don't remember saying that he couldn't see the kids.
Okay. Sometimes you'd get mad at him.
Yes.
And you'd communicate your anger to him.
Yes.
And then sometimes you got jealous.
Yes.
And you'd communicate your jealousy to him.
But that I didn't know that he was with a girlfriend at those times.
Right. You just were jealous. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Whether it was Kelsey or not, you didn't know what was going on, but
Because he was accusing me too.
right,
Oh.
right. It was sort of a back and forth relationship between the two of you, right? And you'd get mad at him, or he might get mad at you, right?
Yes.
But when things were, but you were actually, both of you sort of trying to get together too, right?
Yeah, we were trying to have our family back together.
Yeah. You considered him your best friend when things were good.
Yes. He was the same way with me too.
Right. You two were pretty connected when things were good, right?
Yes.
And sometimes even when things were not so good.
Right.
Pretty solid with each other.
Yeah.
And so when Adam showed up with this woman in December of 2021, when you called him and told him to come back, you didn't like her.
No.
I think you called her thing.
Yeah.
But you needed to work with Adam to get through this investigation, right?
That's not why I was being nice to him. Was not because of this situation.
Okay. Okay. The police talked to you before you told Adam to come back, but they talked to you after you told Adam to come back too, right?
Yeah.
And you would tell the police that he took Harmony to his mother's.
Yes.
And one time they asked you to come into the police station and talk to him.
Yes.
And you did go into the police station and talk to him, right?
Yes.
You went in voluntarily, right?
Yes.
You said that you didn't need a lawyer.
No, I never said that.
You said you'd talk to him without a lawyer, right?
I said I wanted a lawyer, but that didn't happen.
Oh.
But I felt like I was doing the right thing.
Because you wanted to do the right thing?
Yes.
So you went to the police station to do the right thing for the investigation.
Right.
And you went to the police station to do the right thing for Harmony.
Right.
And you went to the police station and told them that as far as you knew, Adam drove Harmony to Crystal's.
Yes.
So you went to the police station to do the right thing, which was to lie?
No, that's not what I said when I went to the police station without a lawyer.
Okay. Do you recall that after you talked to them for a very long time, they gave you a chance to pull your thoughts together and be alone and maybe write down what you wanted to say?
Yes.
And that you did take that time to write down what you wanted to say to them, right?
Yes.
And they came in and you handed them the note, right?
Yes.
And they read the note, right?
Yes.
And they read it out loud for the record.
Yes.
And they had you sign the note, right?
Yes.
And in that note, you said, I don't know what happened. No clue. I just know he left to bring her to meet her mom to give Harmony to her after he dropped me off at work in the morning.
Yes.
And you wrote, I'm done talking. And you wrote a little bit more. And then you said, I can't help anymore. I'm sorry. I can't help you. Look at me, however. And I actually can't read it. To show you a copy of Exhibit A2 for ID and actually ask you what it says. Can you give me that word?
You can look at me, however.
And I'm asking you if you said this stuff, if you need to refresh your recollection, you can, okay?
Okay.
So you said, I'm sorry, I can't help. You can look at me, however. Think of me, however. You just need to get him to talk because I can't get him to say anything to me. He won't tell me anything. So he obviously did something and isn't saying anything to me. And if he isn't telling me, how am I supposed to help you? I'm done talking. And then it goes on a little more for other stuff that I won't say. Okay.
Okay.
Is that what you wrote for him?
Yes.
And you were done talking, right?
And I remember it saying I want a lawyer.
You did, right? In
Yes.
that letter.
Yes.
And you said that you were done talking and you were getting your lawyer and you wanted to go home now, please, right?
Yes.
So, Your Honor, I'd like to offer this as as a full exhibit.
Any objection?
So essentially, you were pointing the finger at Adam having done something wrong, not you, right?
Right.
And you were lying to the police about what happened, right?
Right.
And you were giving them a lie that pretty much gave you, made you look completely innocent.
Yes.
Okay. And then they came to you another time
Yes.
while you were at the fit shelter,
Yes.
and they wanted to ask you about Adam, right?
Yes.
Because they actually saw you and Adam talking outside of the fit shelter, and Adam had just walked away, and they came up, right?
I don't remember how that went, but I guess.
Okay. Pretty much right after Adam walked away, they walked up, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. When they told you that they wanted to talk about Adam, you just sort of smiled at him and walked away, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when the officer asked you to come to the police department, you said you'd already told him everything, right?
Yes.
And that was a lie as well, right?
Yes.
And then during that interview, you also told them that you didn't understand why Crystal was saying she didn't have Harmony.
Yeah.
And in that, and what you told the police back then was that you didn't have a clue what had happened, right?
Right.
And again, you are distancing yourself so that you have no fault in this, right? They can't blame you.
That's not what I was doing. I was doing what I was told to do the whole time.
Okay. Well, Adam got arrested on January 5th, right?
Yes.
You got arrested on January 6th.
Yes.
You knew that Adam was arrested, right?
Yes.
And you were arrested for something that eventually became a theft charge, right?
Yes.
And after you were arrested, you were incarcerated.
Yes.
You were incarcerated for several months.
Yes.
And you wanted to get out.
Yes.
You worked very, very hard to get out, right?
Yes.
You worked very hard to get into rehabilitation shelters and the like in hopes that you could get out to the shelter
Yes.
on bail.
Yes.
And it took a long time, right?
Yes.
I think it was May 6th you finally got out.
Yeah, it was 4 months.
Pardon?
4 months.
Okay. So May 6th is about right?
Yes.
I want to talk about some of the things going on while you were in jail, waiting to get out. Adam, by the way, you knew was not out on bail, right?
Right.
And you knew he could not get out on bail, right?
Right.
You had the ability to get out on bail, but he did not.
I didn't know he didn't have a chance to get out on bail.
Okay.
I didn't know what was going on with him.
Okay. What do you mean you didn't know what was going on?
I didn't know what his situation was with either getting out or not getting out or trying to get out. I had no idea.
Okay. You were sort of following events while you were incarcerated, right?
Not really.
Okay. You were following what was going on with Adam while you were incarcerated, right?
Overruled.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember talking to people about the fact that Adam was still talking to Kelsey on the phone while he was incarcerated?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you were saying, you know, I have ways of finding things out, right?
No.
Okay. We'll get back to that in a second. during that period of incarceration that you wanted to get out, you did not tell the police the truth of what happened to Harmony, right?
Right.
You didn't tell the police how Harmony died.
Right.
You didn't tell them when she died.
Right.
You didn't tell them anything truthful at all, right?
Right.
And then while you were in jail, you sort of thought about your own trouble and maybe how to get out of trouble, right?
Not just my own trouble, but okay.
What do you mean?
I don't know how to explain it.
You thought about missing the kids, you mean? Their trouble too, because they didn't have their mother?
Yeah, and Adam. I was still thinking about Adam too.
Okay. You were thinking about Adam, weren't you?
Yeah.
And while you were thinking about how to get out of trouble, you sort of wrote some of your thoughts down on paper about how to get out of trouble, right?
Not how to get out of trouble, just what I was thinking. Yes.
About what you wanted. Well, you talked about betraying Adam, right?
Right.
To get what you wanted, right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to show you a copy of what is marked for ID as G10. Let's see if you recognize these writings. You finished?
Yeah.
Do you recognize those writings?
Yes.
And those are writings of your thoughts that you put to paper about what you wanted to betray Adam, right?
No. They are my thoughts. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's go. One of the things that you wanted was one last time with Adam, right?
Right.
You wanted one last time to maybe kiss him or make love.
Yep.
And what you didn't write was that you wanted protection from Adam, right?
Right.
What you didn't write was that you were afraid of Adam, right?
Right.
Because you didn't want protection from Adam, right?
I wasn't thinking about that.
Okay. You just wanted to be with him one last time before you, as you put it, betrayed him, right?
Yes.
And having one last time with Adam before you talked to the police, you felt like he would understand and he would love you back, right?
No, I'm thinking about the conversation that him and I had before
About?
about the kids still having their mother when
Okay.
this situation occurs,
Right.
and that he would take everything
Yeah.
so that I could be with the kids.
Right. You two talked about that and what would happen. And you both agreed that you were the mother. You were more important to the kids, right?
Right,
That you were the mother of his children, right?
right,
And you needed to be there for his children,
right.
right? And you needed to be around more than he needed to be around.
No,
You actually wanted him to not be caught, right?
yeah, I didn't.
Pardon?
I didn't.
And you wanted him to not be blamed for the death
Right.
because he didn't do what you said he did.
He did do what he did.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you wanted, other than being alone one last time, was immunity. Immunity for everything, the charges you were facing and what you were about to say, right?
Right,
And it's what you were about to say about Adam, right?
right.
You weren't going to say anything about you if you didn't have to, right?
I was going to say everything.
Okay. And you wanted the kids in your life. You didn't want to lose custody of your kids, right?
Right,
And you wanted treatment, right?
right,
You wanted mental health counseling, right?
right.
And immunity from everything. Where did you learn about immunity? For Adam told you about immunity?
Yeah.
And this is things that you're going to talk to your lawyer about.
Yes.
Okay. And you thought that you want to see what the AG has to offer, but you don't want to end up being screwed yourself by them, right?
Right.
You didn't want them to play games with you and then you would get fucked in the end, right?
Yeah, because that's what Adam said that they would do.
Okay. It was all Adam, right?
I am my own person, but yes.
Okay. And you said, I am so fucked, I should just, I don't know, for Harmony, for me, for my kids, so you actually thought, maybe I will help with the investigation for Harmony.
Yeah.
And one of the things is you were noticing that Seamus was having a hard time, as well as Declan, and you didn't want them to get adopted out, right?
Right.
And it's one of the things that you talked to Adam about when you two agreed not to talk about Harmony's death, was that people would take the children.
Right.
And you didn't want people to take the children, right?
Right.
And you would rather hide Harmony's death than have the state come and take the children from you, right?
That's not what I was thinking.
Okay. But you two talked about it and how important it was for you to be there with the kids and for them not to take the children, right?
Yes.
And it is a conversation that you and Adam had after you discovered Harmony's death.
Yes.
And it is something that you agreed to after you discovered Harmony's death, right?
Yes.
And Adam did agree to take the fall after you discovered Harmony's death and had that conversation.
Yes.
And as you said, when you two were in sync, it was about as tight as it could be, right?
Right.
Best friends, do anything for the other.
Right.
That note was your thoughts for what you wanted your attorney to talk to the AG about, right?
Yes.
And that note was found in your cell, hidden like between the mattress and the frame?
No, it was in a book.
Okay. But it was found during a regular cell search, right?
Yes.
And the COs asked you about that note.
Yes.
And you said that you wanted to talk to the AG.
Yes.
And when you hoped to talk to the AG, those were the conditions that you wanted to get.
Yes.
And you did not have a conversation with the AG in January, right?
No.
Didn't have a conversation with the AG in February, right?
No.
Didn't have a conversation with the AG in March, right?
No.
But you did get a subpoena for the grand jury.
Yes.
And you understood what the grand jury was.
Yes.
And you did get out May 6th, right? That
Yes.
was before the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And you still didn't talk to the AG before you went to the grand jury.
Right.
By the way, I would like to have that introduced as a full exhibit. That would be G for ID.
So how do you think this is going? Do you think good, bad, or ugly? I think she's holding her own.
The objection is withdrawn. Exhibit G, the ID is stricken. It is entered as a full exhibit. Whenever you're ready.
Sorry,
It's okay.
I couldn't do. So in any event, you, after that note was seized, you asked to talk to the AG. You didn't talk to the AG before getting subpoenaed to the grand jury, but you did get out, right?
Yes.
And before you got out, you actually filed for divorce, right?
Yes.
You filed for divorce in March.
Yes.
And you were done, right?
As hard as it was, yes.
Okay, done. He was in your past now.
Not really, but
Okay. But your future was about you now, right?
yeah, I tried.
Okay. And you went to the grand jury in May of 2022,
22.
May 20th, actually, right? That sound right?
I didn't know it was in the same month that I got out, but I thought it was around that time between May and June.
Okay. If I showed you a copy of the front of the transcript of your testimony, would that help refresh your recollection about when it was?
Yes.
Okay. And this is State's Defendant's Exhibit B for ID. Does that refresh your recollection? Yes, please feel free to check through the transcript to make sure it's correct and that it's you.
I remember I remember going to this, yes.
Okay. And looking at it doesn't refresh your recollection about the exact day, but it seems like around the,
Yes.
okay. Now, when you went to the grand jury, you had no immunity, right?
Right.
You had no agreement with the state.
Right.
And about 2 years, over 2 years had passed since Harmony had died.
Yes.
And over 2 months had passed since you wrote that note that is Exhibit G of the conditions that you'd like to get for, quote, betraying Adam, right?
Yes.
And so you went to the grand jury
Yes.
and you were advised that you had to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
They actually swore you in like you were sworn in here.
Yes.
And there was a prosecutor there asking you questions.
Yes.
And there was a group of people, not in this configuration, but probably even more people there that were the grand jury.
Yes.
And you were not particularly happy with Adam when you went to the grand jury, right?
I was stuck in my head.
Okay. Well, you lied to the grand jury, right?
Yes.
Even though you swore an oath to tell the truth.
Yes.
And not only did you swear an oath to tell the truth, but you were actually given, I think what they called ground rules. Do you remember being given some of the rules of testifying in front of the grand jury?
Yes.
And you were told that you could refuse to answer any question if it would incriminate you, right?
Yes.
And you understood what incriminating you would mean, right?
Yes.
And that meant if it would get you in trouble.
Yes.
And you were told that incrimination was pretty much if your answer would risk you being charged with a crime.
Yes.
And you were also told that if you did answer, you had to answer truthfully.
Yes.
But you were also told that if you had an answer that got someone else in trouble, you had to answer that.
Yes.
And you were asked if you had any questions about those rules, right?
Yes.
And you were also told that if you had a question about any of the questions,
Yes.
meaning if a question might incriminate you or not, you could take a break, step outside and talk to your lawyer, right?
Yes.
Your lawyer wasn't allowed in the courtroom, but he was available to you, right?
Yes.
And if you thought that a question might get you in trouble, you could go out and talk to your lawyer.
Yes.
And you were also told that you could get charged with perjury if you lied to the grand jury.
Yes.
You were told that not only could you get charged with perjury if you lied to the grand jury, but you could get charged with perjury for each and every lie.
Yes.
And that a perjury charge could bring a sentence of 3.5 to 7 years
Yes.
in prison.
Yes.
And that if you lied more than once, you could get more than one sentence of 3.5 to 7.
Yes.
You could get a sentence of 3.5 to 7 for every lie you told to the grand jury.
Yes.
And you lied to the grand jury.
Yes.
And you lied more than once.
Yes.
You lied more than twice.
I only got 2 counts of it, so I don't remember lying more than twice.
You do not recall lying more than twice to the grand jury.
Right.
You think you only lied twice to them.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go through what you talked to the grand jury about. They actually talked to you. The prosecutor had this note.
Yes.
The grand jury, right?
Yes.
And I couldn't tell. Was it this note that was handwritten by you, or was it a copy of it?
It was a copy of it.
Okay. And he read some and had you read some of the note out loud to the grand jury so he could ask you questions about it, right?
Yes.
And he asked you what you meant by thinking about betraying Adam, right?
Yes.
And you said you were thinking about, that he hurt Adam, Harmony, right?
Yes.
Because he had actually only been arrested on June 5th for second-degree assault to Harmony.
Yes.
And you said that betrayal sort of referred to that. You were going to betray him on that.
Yes.
Okay. Because you said that you didn't know what happened to Harmony, that you had no idea.
Yes.
That was a lie.
Yes.
And you said you thought Adam hurt her, but you didn't know what happened to her.
Yes.
That was a lie.
Yes.
And that was a lie that protected you, but pointed the finger at Adam, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked about physical abuse by Adam,
Yes.
and you said he spanked her a couple of times when she wasn't listening or something, but it wasn't a lot.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
No.
when they asked, well, what is it that you're talking about betraying him? You said, well, he verbally abused her by putting her in a corner and spanking her.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
No.
Okay. You told the grand jury that the last time you saw Harmony was 2 days after Thanksgiving, 2019.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
Yes.
You told them that Adam dropped you off at work because he was bringing her to her mother's.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
Yes.
And you said all the kids were in the car. You were going to work and everybody was fine.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
Yes.
You said that you worked in the morning. You knew it was, they asked you about your shift and you said it was 6 to 2 at Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yes.
And that was the truth for when you worked at Dunkin' Donuts, but it was a lie for 2 days after Thanksgiving, right? You didn't work at Dunkin' Donuts 2 days after Thanksgiving.
Right.
And that was one of the lies that you got charged with.
Yes.
Okay. But you had lied before that, right? To the grand jury already.
Yes.
And then you also said the day that you were working on at the Dunkin' Donuts, and that was your second charge.
Yes.
So you got charged for lying about the shift that you worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and you got charged for lying about
It was the location.
the location, not the
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Okay. The location of Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yes.
But not all those other lies that we've already talked about. You
No.
didn't get charges for them, right? And when you told the grand jury that you were working at Dunkin' Donuts that day, the prosecutor actually gave you a hint. He said, "Are you sure?" And you said, "Yeah," right?
Yeah. Yes.
And he said, "Take a minute and think because we had the records," right?
Right.
And you repeated the lie anyway.
Yes.
And, but you knew that they knew at that point that you might be lying.
Yes.
You knew that you might be getting caught
Yes.
and you didn't know what to do.
No, I did not.
So you just continued in your lie.
Yes.
And so you said that you had a conversation with Adam and he told you a day or two before taking Harmony to her mother that he was going to do that, right?
Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes.
And you said that you figured he gave her to her mom because her mom, Crystal, had a place.
Yes.
You didn't figure he gave her to her mom.
No.
You knew that she had died,
Yes.
and she had died in the car.
Yes.
She died in the car with you,
Yes.
and you knew it.
Yes.
And so when you said you're trying to convince the grand jury that you're telling the truth, right?
Right.
Because every time you lie to them, you are subject to 3.5 to 7.
Right.
And so you want them to believe you.
Right.
And then you tell them that one of the reasons that you didn't think about what was going on with Harmony was because you had a lot of stuff going on with your son.
I don't remember that.
Okay. You said that one of the reasons that Adam brought Harmony to her mom was because she had already been through so much with the state that he didn't want her to live in the car anymore and she could live in a better place with Crystal.
Yes.
And that again was trying to get the grand jury to believe your story.
Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes.
And you said Harmony was a normal kid, right?
Yes.
And that was not a lie.
No.
You said that she had issues like anybody else,
Yes.
and that was not a lie.
No.
And you said that you actually, when Adam came back without Harmony, you actually asked, did you take Harmony to Crystal, like you said? And he told you he had.
Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes.
You told the grand jury you didn't think it was strange that Adam didn't buy Harmony birthday cards or talk to Crystal about Harmony, right?
Right.
And they asked you why, and you said it was because you had your own issues with your eldest son, and with all that you and Adam were going through, you weren't thinking about Harmony or your eldest son.
Right.
And that is the son that is not of you and Adam, right?
Right.
That is a son that you were also visiting.
Yes.
And there was a lot going on with your son. Adam had a lot going on with Harmony. And so you just didn't think about all those things because it was too chaotic.
Yes.
And so while some of that might be true, that certainly wasn't why you weren't thinking about Harmony, or about Adam not staying in touch with Harmony, right?
Right.
Because you knew Adam was dead, right? Harmony was dead, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And so you just sort of made that up as a reason why things are going on in your head. So something that would be strange to other people wasn't strange to you, right?
Right.
It just sort of popped in your head. This is a good reason to give the grand jury to try and convince them I'm telling the truth.
Right.
But it was from a real life detail, right? That was going on in your life with your eldest son.
Yes.
And you told the grand jury that Adam had been violent to you, so you believed that he had been violent to his daughter.
Yes.
But you hadn't seen anything.
Right.
And you told them that you were under the assumption that whole time that Harmony was with her mother.
Yes.
Another lie.
Yes.
You told the grand jury, obviously, you were thinking he did something wrong, but you didn't want to think about that, right?
Right.
And you said because you had the other kids too, right?
Right.
You had other stuff to think about.
Right.
When the prosecutor asked you, do you think it's a good possibility that Harmony's not around anymore? You said that could be a possibility, right?
Right.
You didn't tell them that you knew she was dead,
Right.
right? You didn't tell them that you were there when she died.
Right.
And that's kind of a lie by omission, right?
Yes.
It's like not telling them something to send them down the wrong road, right?
Right.
And when they asked you if you remembered any more about the day that Adam drove off with Harmony, you told them what you remembered. Seamus was 2 and Declan was 11
Months.
months. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked if you remembered anything Adam said. And you said, no, not that I can. You sort of let it trail off, right?
Right.
You were asked if you were done with Adam at the time that you were testifying, right?
Right.
They said, are you done with him? And you said yes.
Right.
And are you saying that was a lie?
Yes.
Okay. And you told them that you kept insisting that all you knew was that Adam drove off with Harmony, and that was all you knew.
Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes.
And that is protecting you.
And Adam.
It's actually pointing the finger at Adam, right?
No,
Okay.
not
Well-
when it's the lie.
Okay. Because you told them that you thought Adam must have done something wrong with Harmony, right?
Right,
And you were pointing the finger at Adam, right?
right,
And you were protecting you.
right.
Okay. And when the subject of the items that Harmony had, you told him that Harmony had a sports cup with pink flowers, right?
I don't remember telling them that. They showed me a picture of it.
Oh, okay. Do you remember telling them that?
I just remember the picture.
Did you tell them that she was wearing Nike sneakers
Yes,
and that she was wearing a Star Wars hoodie?
yes,
And you talked to the jury with a straight face about remembering what she was wearing, right?
yes,
Even though the Star Wars hoodie is what you cut off of her body in the shower at Union Avenue.
right.
Okay. And you didn't have any problem talking about that to the grand jury, that that's what she was wearing, right?
Right,
But you did have a problem telling the grand jury the truth, that you were cutting off her clothes in the shower at Union Avenue.
right.
And you said the last time you saw Harmony, she was happy.
Yes,
And you had no problem with that lie to the grand jury, right?
right.
And the last time you saw Harmony, you thought she was asleep, but she was dead.
Yes,
Okay. One of the things that happened at the grand jury was you were talking about some of the things that the family did after eviction, right?
yes,
And you talked about going to Colonial Village, right?
yes,
And Colonial Village is what you've talked about on direct, pretty much where you kind of camped out during the weeks before you went to your mom's.
yes,
And I think you told the grand jury that you went to your mom's around the 11th.
yes.
And that seems about right.
Yeah, it was the beginning of December.
The 11th?
Like the beginning of the month of December.
Okay, well,
I call that the beginning. Sorry.
you'd been in the car for a couple of weeks before going to your mom's, right?
Right,
So you told them that your car had died and you slept in the car of your friend Anthony Badero for a weekend.
yes,
And it was sometime after that that you went to your mom's.
yes,
And you told them that Badero saw Harmony every day while living at the Colonial for that couple of weeks, right?
yes.
And that was a slip up, right?
I don't remember.
Well, if you were telling the grand jury that Harmony died on November 30th, but you're talking about being in the car for a couple of weeks from the 20th.
All right, hold on, no speaking objections, please approach.
Sorry. You told the grand jury that the last time you saw Harmony was November 30th,
Yes.
which was 3 days after your eviction,
Yes.
but that you stayed at Colonial Village, you have said, for about 2 weeks
Yes.
after eviction, right?
Yes.
And you told the grand jury that Bordello saw Harmony every day behind the Colonial
Yes.
for those 2 weeks, right? That was a slip up, right?
No, because he did see her.
Okay. For 2 weeks?
He did see her a couple of times, yes.
You said every day behind the Colonial?
Not every day.
Okay. For those 2 weeks, he saw her, right?
Yes.
For a couple of weeks, right?
A couple of days. During those weeks, he did see her for a couple of days.
Do you recall which days?
No, I just know we were still in the car.
Did Anthony Bordello didn't see y'all very much before you were parked at the Colonial, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did he see Harmony often?
Once in a while, if we drove to his place.
Okay. Would you go in to his place with Harmony?
No,
Okay.
we'd be in the car.
Okay. And so I'm going to show you a portion of your grand jury testimony. And ask you to read it to yourself. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And I will say that this starts after you're talking about the accidents that we've talked about earlier today.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you a specific page, which is 45. And feel free to read anything that you want, but start at 45, going through until the subject changes, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, and I'm starting at page 45. The prosecutor talked about, so you stayed near Colonial Village for a period of time, right?
Yes.
And he's talking about after eviction when you are staying in the car with the family behind Colonial Village, right?
Yes.
And you say yes. He asked if any.
Has to be getting ready for afternoon break, I'm thinking. Afternoons are always quite a bit shorter than the mornings. They seem to be quite a bit longer. 3 and some hours. The afternoons usually only around 2 and a bit. 2:30 there. And I think they stop at like
Refresh your recollection.
4,
Yes.
maybe?
And at first, you told them that Badero saw Harmony.
Cup of time.
Did you tell them that Badero saw Harmony for probably every day for like a couple of weeks?
Yes.
Was that the truth?
No, it was like every couple of days.
I
For
don't
the
really
whole 2
like
weeks.
that guy anyways,
He would
James.
go out there to the car, right? And talk to y'all, right?
Yes.
And sometimes he and Adam would go off and do stuff.
No.
Adam and he might actually give Badero drive Badero in Badero's car for a while, right?
No.
And that's why was Badero coming out to the car for you?
Because we were getting drugs.
Okay, so you're saying Badero came out to the car to give you drugs?
Yes.
Okay. You said that Badero saw Harmony probably every day, but now you're saying it's probably every couple of days?
Yes.
And after you said that to the prosecutor, do you remember actually addressing the fact that you said that you hadn't seen Harmony after November 30th?
No.
Does that refresh your recollection about whether he raised that?
I'm sorry.
That he actually reminded you that you had said that Harmony went missing on the 30th, right?
Right.
And so he said, are you saying Badero saw Harmony before November 30th? And you said, yeah. Right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. But you were actually saying also that Badero saw Harmony during that 2-week period that you were behind his place.
Right.
Okay. But you said that Harmony had disappeared, been gone, left.
Overruled.
So that was sort of a slip saying that, right?
Overruled.
No.
You're talking about events after the 30th where Badero is seeing Harmony at a time that you're telling the grand jury that Harmony has gone off. Adam took her to her mother.
After the 30th. He saw her before that.
Okay.
Okay.
For 2 weeks after eviction, while you're staying at Colonial Village, he saw her during those 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yes.
So eviction would be November 27th, right?
Yes.
And for that 2-week period, that would take you just shy of December 8, 9.
Yes.
And so you are saying that Mr. Badero is seeing Harmony in December.
Yes.
That was a slip, right?
No. I didn't know what the last time was that he saw her, but I know that he did see her every couple of days during that time.
Okay, but if Harmony was if you're saying that Harmony is gone since November 30th, how can somebody be seeing her in your car after November 30th?
Approach.
She doesn't even really look like the same person. Yeah, it's horrible. They get into the bush. They don't put their fires out. They leave them and go for day trips. They leave them when they leave them burning when they leave,
You got evicted on
you know, throw
the
cigarettes
28th,
and stuff that's
27th.
gonna
Yes.
light that ground up like
And you
kindling.
told the grand jury that for 2 weeks from that eviction, you stayed at Colonial Village.
Yes.
But you told the grand jury that 3 days after that eviction, Adam
You're
took
exactly right.
Harmony to his mother's,
Yes.
to her mother's,
Yes.
so that she was no longer in the car.
Yes.
But you also told the grand jury that Anthony Badero saw Harmony throughout that 2-week period, right?
Right.
Okay. Are you saying that Harmony was in your car during that 2-week period for the Badero? Are you telling the grand jury that he was in your car for that 2-week period after Adam had taken Harmony to her mother's?
Yes, because that didn't happen.
Overruled.
Pardon?
Yes, because she didn't actually go missing on November 30th. So yes, he did see her.
Okay. So that was actually the truth, right? And it was a truth that was very inconsistent with the lie that you had been telling, right? So you sort of slipped up there, but it got missed,
Yes.
right? After that, maybe it is a good spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good time for our mid-afternoon break. We'll take about 15 minutes and we'll come back and resume the testimony. I'll ask you to just stay here. Please rise for the jurors.
So break time.
All right, she can step down.
Don't
have about a
forget
15-minute
to,
break, and then
again,
she'll come on back
subscribe,
and
like,
stand.
and share, and
All right,
hit that
everybody, 15
bell, and you will be notified for the next stream, and then the ones that are coming tomorrow as well.
But she wasn't in the car for the other, right?
Yes.
And that you couldn't remember why she wasn't in the car for the other, right? And you thought that that was a November accident, that she
Right
wasn't
back
in the
into
car.
it.
Right.
Is that
Hey,
the
Cindy.
December
Nope.
accident that she wasn't in the car for?
Afternoon break.
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember that Tabitha Scott was in the November 29th accident, was in the car during that?
Yes.
Okay. So you thought it was November, but you're probably talking about the December accident where Harmony wasn't in the car?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember on direct that the prosecutor asked you to look at the grand jury?
Yes.
I'm sorry, at this jury. Do you remember when he asked you here to look at this grand jury?
Yes.
And
Overruled.
I said grand jury again, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, yes, sustained.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Do you remember at the end of your direct testimony, the prosecutor asked you to look at this jury?
Yes.
And he asked you, did you kill Harmony? And you looked at this jury and you said no?
Yes.
Do you remember that the prosecutor at the grand jury asked you to look at the grand jurors?
Yes.
And he asked you to tell them what happened to Harmony and you said you didn't know?
Yes.
So looking at jurors while you're lying doesn't change the lie, right?
Right.
So you also told the grand jury that neither Adam nor anyone else asked you to lie about what happened to Harmony, right?
Right.
And that lie that you told the grand jury, you told them freely, right?
Yes.
And it was a lie that you and Adam came up with when you didn't want DCYF in taking your kids or blaming either of you or anything like that, right?
Right.
And that lie protected you and let the investigation focus on Adam.
Yes.
You also told the grand juror that when you contacted Adam and told him to come back to Maine and he came back to Maine, you said that once there, Adam said, tell them I brought her to her mother, right?
Yes.
And that was sort of the truth, right?
Yes.
As he said, you'll be okay, just stick with the story, right?
Right.
You didn't have to worry.
Right.
He would be there for you.
Right.
One of the, in the grand jury, unlike this jury, the individual jurors were allowed to ask you questions, right?
Yes.
And so you not only had a prosecutor asking you questions, you had individual grand jurors asking you questions, right?
Yes.
And you lied to them, right?
Yes.
You told them that you were actually feeling scared for Harmony at some point, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. You still have that grand jury testimony there?
Yes.
And I'm going to point you to page 64, and this is to refresh your recollection. If you would check out, it's about halfway down the page that the conversation starts, but you can check before that to make sure, and on to the next page.
Okay.
So, when you were talking about meeting up with Adam when he came back from Maine and he told you to tell them that he took Harmony to her mother, you were actually asked about the fact that the investigation is going on, right?
Yes.
And you told this jury that you had actually seen Crystal on the news talking about her missing daughter, right? I'm sorry, not at the grand jury today, to this jury.
Yes.
And when, in light of that, when Adam said, I took her to her mother, do you remember being asked at that point again, did it make you wonder what really happened to Harmony? And you said, yeah, it did, right?
Yes.
And do you recall being asked if you were scared for Harmony at that point?
Yes.
Telling the grand jurors that you were scared for her.
Yes.
And you were telling the grand jurors this at a time that you knew that she was dead.
Yes.
And you insisted you didn't know what happened to her, right?
Right.
Now, these are several more lies that you've told the grand jury, right?
Right.
And you talked to this jury about Adam in the spring of 2020. Accusing you of things and punching you.
Yes.
And you told the grand jury that he punched you 2 times, right?
It was more than that.
Okay.
But yes, I did.
And you told them that you left Adam because you saw abuse as a kid and you didn't want your kids surrounded by that stuff.
Yes.
And that's when you left Adam in March of 2021, right?
Yes.
But you actually left him also in April or in the spring of 2020 for a very short period of time, right?
I don't remember that.
You don't recall leaving with the kids for a couple of times in the spring of 2020?
No.
Okay. Because the spring in 2020 is when you started talking about the first time that Adam started thinking weird things were happening, right?
Yeah, but I didn't leave him. We still lived in the same. We just moved to the Union Street apartment building.
Okay. And you didn't just leave for a bit and go to a friend's for a day or so?
No.
Okay.
I remember I left for a couple hours with the kids, but I went back to the house. I went back to the apartment.
Okay. So one of the times that he was feeling like there were cameras and stuff, you just had to get away from him, right?
He fell asleep, so I took the kids and left.
Yeah. Because he was acting very strange.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going to move on from the grand jury testimony for now. Take that back away from you if you'd like. Thank you. When the grand jury testimony was over, you were able to leave. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were still out in public on bail.
Yes.
And by the way, I was told that I did mess up again. Adam was arrested January 4 and you were arrested January 5. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So you are out, but you have certain conditions that require that you, report to the police station?
Yes.
You have to report in person. How many times did you have to report?
Every day.
Every day you had to come to the police station so that they would know that you were around, right?
Yes.
And so you were doing that before the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And you were doing it after the grand jury.
Yes.
And every day you're at the police station. And one day, and it was June 3rd, you come
Yes.
in for a reporting day, right?
Yes.
Or a reporting time, sorry. And you got arrested.
Yes.
And you kind of knew that that might happen because you knew that you had lied to the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And you got arrested for 2 charges of perjury before the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And it was about your shift at Dunkin' Donuts,
Yes.
and it was about the location of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
And we talk about a whole lot more lies that you told the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And you didn't get arrested for any of those lies, right?
Right.
And probably talked about more than 20 lies that you told the grand jury,
Yes.
maybe more.
Yes.
And you got 2 charges for lying to the grand jury, right?
Yes.
Now, before testifying in front of the grand jury, you had some other prior convictions, right?
Yes.
One was for false information to a police officer,
Yes.
and one was for altering a prescription drug.
Yes.
And you got incarcerated on that one on a probation violation in 2013
Yes.
and got out in 2014.
Yes.
And it was sometime after that that you and Adam got together.
Yes.
And you were together but got married in 2017.
Yes.
And you got married on Harmony's birthday.
Yes.
And that was intentional, right?
It wasn't supposed to be on her birthday.
Okay.
We were getting married before our son was born, and he came 3 weeks early, and he ended up being born the day before Harmony's birthday. And we were planning a baby shower wedding that Sunday, and we ended up having the JP come to our house and marry us while I was in the middle of contractions, and then we had the baby.
And that was, you did it during the shower because friends and loved ones had been there too.
Yeah, that's what we were supposed to do, but we didn't get to.
Okay. And when you went to the grand jury, you were also facing other felonies at the time, right?
Yes.
At the time,
Yeah.
that was confusing. On May 20th, when you went to the grand jury, you had some felonies that you had been charged with but had not been resolved.
Yes.
And 2 of them were for receiving stolen property.
Yes.
And one of them was a theft by deception.
Yes.
And although you got charged for them, they were dismissed as a part of the agreement that you reached with the state, right? And when you were out on bail on the 3rd, they held you for a few days, right?
Yes.
And you got rebailed for those perjury convictions, right?
Yes.
So the day that you came in, they had to arrest you and book you, and you had to go to jail. And eventually, 3 or 4 days later, you were able to get out on bail.
Yes.
Same bail conditions as before.
Yes.
No changes.
No.
And you were supposed to be of good behavior,
Yes.
and you were supposed to be drug and alcohol free,
Yes.
and you got rearrested. You were supposed to remain arrest free too, right?
Yes.
And you got rearrested, right?
Yes, because I missed court.
Pardon?
I missed court, so I got arrested.
They found you and arrested you on a capias for missing court, but you also got charged with prescription drugs.
Yes.
And that case went away as well on the day of your plea to the perjury indictments,
Yes.
right? So I want to talk about June 3rd and your interview with the police. You certainly didn't know that day that you would be arrested when you walked in for your check-in, right?
Right.
And on that day when you walked in and got arrested on your check-in, you didn't know if you would be able to walk out.
Right.
They might hold you in jail again for perjury.
Right.
Because it's a pretty serious offense, right? And you knew that when you raised your hand and swore an oath to the grand jury that if you lied to them, it would be a very serious thing.
Yes.
And so you were kind of concerned that you may not be able to get back out on bail when you got arrested.
Yes.
And you said you were ready to talk.
Yes.
You said you wanted to give a statement, right?
Right.
And you did not have an agreement when you said that, right?
Right.
You did not have any negotiation when you said that, right?
Right.
The AG had not actually met up with you at all when you said that, right?
Right.
And you wanted to make sure that you got out as soon as you could, right?
Right.
And so your attorney was called.
Yes.
And there was a sort of agreement reached before you gave your statement, right?
Right.
And you didn't get immunity for crimes, right?
Right.
And you didn't get future immunity for any crimes that you might commit.
Right.
But you did get an agreement that whatever you said that day couldn't be used against you.
Right.
And that they would look at what you said that day, and if they wanted to use it, then you might be able to reach an agreement.
Right.
And so that wasn't the immunity from everything that you had wanted, right?
Right.
That wasn't the no time deal that you had wanted, right?
Right.
That wasn't the ankle monitor that you had wanted, right?
Right.
And there was certainly no guarantee or conversation about you and your future life with your children.
Right.
But you knew they had you solid on the perjury, right?
Right.
You were never getting around that one, right?
Right.
And so you decided that this would probably be the best that you could do to get as few consequences for your actions as possible.
Yes.
Are you okay?
My head hurts. I'm like having a migraine.
Do you need to stop? May we approach Your Honor?
Yes.
I bet you they stop. What do you guys think? Migraines suck. What do you guys think? I think they'll stop. Meltdown time. I think you're right. Yeah, I agree, guys. Yeah, that's what I think. Especially under those bright lights, right? Oh, that makes sense. Could cause an appeal if they continue. That makes total sense. Yeah, she looks really uncomfortable. Hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Long day for everyone, and I would like to give the witness an opportunity to, to have a rest before we proceed. So what I'm going to do is we're going to stop for the day today. I know I had said to you that I thought we would go until 4, but I think it makes sense for us to stop for the day.
I agree.
So we're going to end now. You're going to come back at 8:45 on Monday morning.
Me too.
I cannot say to you strongly enough how important it is for you to avoid all media this weekend. Please
I think
avoid
so
all
too.
media this weekend. If you know, additionally, if people know you're sitting on this case, they may want to speak to you about it. They may have opinions about it, even though they're not here listening to the evidence in the same way you are. Please do not talk about this case with anyone. There will come a time, as I said to you earlier, when you will be able to do that. That time is not now. So, it's supposed to be a little warm this weekend. I hope you'll find some good activities to do, but stay away, stay offline, stay away from the newspapers, stay away from any media coverage of this case. Okay. Same rules that I've said to you earlier apply as well about, driving by locations. If it's on your route home, drive by, don't give it any extra attention. Don't go to any of the places that we visited on The View or the places you've heard about here. Don't look up any names. Don't do any research on the law. The court will give that to you in the court's instructions. I remind you that if in your comings and goings you see any of the witnesses or any of the parties that are involved in this case, they have been instructed not to speak with you and you're instructed not to speak with them. So they are not being rude if they don't acknowledge your presence. You have all been extremely attentive today and we are very, very appreciative. We will see you back
Thank
here
you
on
very
Monday
much
morning,
for being
8:45
here.
for a 9
And I
a.m.
agree with
start.
your last
Ladies and
point.
gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention today. All rise for the jurors.
See you later, Scooter. Have a great night. Day, I guess. Have a great day. Okay. Yeah, I think she was having a migraine. What do you guys think? I don't think she was faking it. Thanks for stopping in, Douglas.
Jane Garrity, could you approach for just a minute? You may be seated.
Probably give me a migraine too, actually, sitting under those lights. Stressed out. Yeah. And just let her get feeling back to normal and carry on. So the stream for the documents for Richard Allen is at, I think it's at 3 o'clock. Double check. Ooh, jazzy. 10 after 3. I think I'll just move that to 3. We can all stretch our legs, do our thing. And yeah, I really wanted to go over these new documents. It's been an issue again. See you Monday. We're back tomorrow. I will be doing probably something on Harmony Montgomery. Just got this awesome map from my mom, Mind of Monsters, and I really want to go through some of them because they're awesome. And I also want to do something on the third Miller's hearing from Ethan Crumbly. So I'd love to do those tomorrow. So that is the plan. We got a big, big dump of snow. It looks like it should be Christmas here again. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, hit that bell, subscribe, like, and share. And I appreciate you guys a ton. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.